The show was groundbreaking, and it took a deep dive into gay life. At a time where homophobia was very evident, gay marriage was not legal, and they faced a lot of discrimination. Gay people did not have as much rights as they do today, and in some places, they still don't. The show ran for 5 seasons from 2000 to 2005 on Showtime, and won an award for Outstanding Drama Series. The show is an American version of a British show with the same name that ran for 1 season. The American version is more popular and most people like it better, but for me, I personally like both of them. It was gay, it was daring, and it was in your face. The show takes place in the early 2000s. The show's main characters are 5 gay men and 2 lesbian women living in Pittsburgh, going through everyday life as queer people. To the people that have seen the series, keep watching as I will be talking about each season, and to the people that are discovering it for the first time, keep on watching as well, as I will try to spoil as little as possible. Each person can relate and see themselves in one or more characters. I definitely do. So before we get into it, please go ahead, like and subscribe. It would really help me out and it would grow the channel. I work really hard on these videos and I try to make them as best as I can. Thank you. Brian Kinney is an advertising executive by day and a promiscuous club boy by night. He's a very strong and independent person. He works hard and he plays hard. He's not family oriented, and his closest relationships are with his friends. He has a very distinguished sense of style. He wears his black leather shell bracelet, and he wears lots of blacks and leather. I personally love his style. He has this amazing loft apartment with big windows and a view of the city. Brian is the leader of the group. He's the one who has a blunt perspective on things, and he makes sure to put himself first. He has a narcissistic exterior, but if you dig a little deeper, you actually see his insecurities. He has a troubled past, and he doesn't do relationships, but that is until he came along. Justin Taylor comes along in the first episode. He's a 17-year-old virgin. He's from an upper middle class family. He does academically well, and he's a talented artist. He's coming to terms with being gay, and one night, he bravely marches into Liberty Avenue, and he meets Brian. He becomes influenced, and he proudly comes out. He leaves home to start life on his own, and I love that about Justin. He knows what he wants, and he's unstoppable. He faces a lot of hardships, and he learns a lot of important lessons. Michael Novotny, he's Brian's best friend since childhood. He's the nerdy type. He likes comic books, and he has a close relationship with his mother. He's a mama's boy. She's very supportive, but Michael is still in the closet because of his job. He's what holds the group together. Debbie Novotny is a big Italian personality. She's very likable, and she's a loving mother. She's the waitress at the Liberty Diner. She's extremely supportive and a P-flag mom. Ted Schmidt is an average guy. He's an accountant. He's dependable, and he has a hard time because of it. His character shows the challenges of being a normal guy in a gay world where looks are everything. He's insecure and self-deprecating. I think a lot of people can actually relate to Ted. Emmett Honeycutt is a flamboyant, obviously gay man. He's very likable, and he provides the show with a good laugh. He has an interesting backstory, and he's had to overcome a lot. But he's a strong person, and a very lovable character. Melanie and Lindsay are the 2 lesbian mothers with a son named Gus. Melanie is a Jewish lawyer, and Lindsay is a loving stay-at-home mom. They're the 2 lesbians on the show, and they show what it's like to be in a same-sex relationship. In the show's first season, it shows the real gay world and gay culture. It's very transparent in showing the drug use and promiscuous sex. We begin to really know the characters in their story. The premiere kicks off with Justin and Brian meeting. Justin throws himself into gay life, and he's experimenting. Justin begins to work his way into the group and into Brian's life. Eventually, he does, and he leaves home. Brian works really hard in getting clients for his advertising firm. He meets a lot of interesting clients. Michael struggles with living a double life, of playing a straight man at work and being himself in real life. He continues hiding his true identity, and his favorite comic book character is Captain Astro. He heavily relates to superheroes, and his relationship with Brian has always been close, since childhood, and there's still feelings left over. Ted and Emmett are also close friends. Justin's senior year, him and Brian go to prom together. After a magical night, the ending is interesting. Season 1 was a season that I look back on and I really love it because of all the things that take place and the developments in the show. Season 2, we see Brian and Justin's dynamic evolve. After they go through something traumatic, we see the sweet side of Brian and the vulnerable side of Justin. Brian helps Justin and they become much closer. Debbie finds a murder victim behind the dumpster of Liberty Diner, and she tries to find out who he was. When the story unravels, it's pretty dark. We get to see Pride on television, and it answers the questions of why Pride is important and why it's important to celebrate. It's Justin's first Pride event, and it makes him think, why is it so important and why should I be celebrating? He's gone through a lot of struggles, and he gets his questions answered. One day, a new character, Ben, walks into a comic book store, and he meets Michael. Ben is a smart college professor and an aspiring writer. Ted goes into a new career as an entrepreneur. Emmett goes into the adult film industry and meets a rich, older man. Melanie and Lindsay decide to get married, in symbolic terms, and the whole group pulls together to make it a beautiful event. Brian and Justin continue to get closer, and Brian begins to open up more and evolve. It's nice to see. Brian's career continues to grow. Season 2 was a pretty good season in my opinion. I really enjoyed how we got to see Brian and Justin's relationship evolve. I think it took on a new and interesting dynamic, and for me, it was actually really enjoyable, and I thought it was sweet. Season 3. Michael and Ben's relationship begins to grow, and we get to meet a new character, who becomes a big part of their lives. We meet Hunter. Hunter is a young teen living on the streets, and he has a dark past. Ben takes him immediately. Eventually, he becomes part of their lives. Hunter is a great character, because I love how blunt he is. He has a smart mouth. Ben and Michael really care about him, and they want to help him out. Ted and Emmett's relationship begins to change. What it evolves into was interesting, and the way it ended, I was honestly kind of shocked by it. But Lindsay also decides to go back to work. She gets a good job at an art gallery. Michael takes his love for comic book characters, and he makes his own gay superhero. He teams up with Justin, who's a talented artist. The character is based off of Brian, and they name him Rage, which makes sense because Brian does have a bit of a temper, but Brian does help advertise it, and it becomes a huge success. Justin continues to experiment, and he meets someone named Ethan, but after a while, he decides that he wants to get back together with Brian. There are new political events happening on Liberty Avenue. There's a new mayor election, and Brian is heavily involved in this. He's the advertising executive for the campaign, but the candidate that he's working with is against the gay community, and Brian cannot let this happen. So him and Justin begin to sabotage him, and I think that this is really important. What I personally really love about Season 3 is that I feel like this was a very crucial time for each character, and it really shaped them for the rest of the show. And I was really happy with the way it all panned out. Season 4. Brian is hiding something, and he decides to deal with it all on his own. It wasn't good when Justin and Michael find out, and he decides to open up his own advertising firm. He names it Kinetic. Ted struggles with his life, and he falls back into a bad situation. After Ted is able to recover, he tries to reinvent himself, and he goes to work for Brian's firm. Justin joins a group called the Pink Posse, and it's about gay people protecting themselves. Hunter starts to become part of the family, and he starts to have a normal life with Ben and Michael. Melanie and Lindsay are also expecting to be adding a new member to the family. Emmett's party planning business is doing pretty well, and he's become really successful. He's doing really good for himself. The group participates in the Liberty Ride to Canada, and Michael and Ben make a big decision. Season 5. Emmett starts a new career. He becomes the queer guy on a news channel, and his party planning business is doing really well. This leads him to meet somebody famous, who he secretly has an affair with. Liberty Avenue begins to change, and Brian is against it. After his firm is doing so well, he decides to buy Babylon, and the club becomes its stomping ground. Political events begin to affect the community, and Prop 14 has to be stopped. They fight really strongly against it, but not without some backlash. And because of this, Melanie and Lindsay begin to wonder if they really want to stay living in a place that is so hateful. Justin thinks heavily about his future, and so does Brian. Brian and Justin's relationship has changed so much since it started, and the way it ends, for me, I understand why, but it is seen in many different ways by a lot of people. The show ends with an important message. Michael says, "No matter what, no matter who's president, we will survive." And it's so relevant because gay people are constantly fighting for their rights and they're always fighting for equality. Well, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I tried to spoil as little as possible for those that have not seen it. Trust me, you have barely scratched the surface. This show is amazing. And for those of you that have seen the show, I really hope you enjoyed it. Please go ahead, like and subscribe. And as Michael said, the thumpa thumpa continues.